We're live too, by the way.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening and welcome to the regular board meeting of the River Valley Board of Education. This meeting was a legally called meeting. Notice was provided to the public by posting on the district website and in the central office, to the official newspaper, and to any other news media upon written request. In accordance with state law, public notice was given at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting. I would ask the clerk to take a roll call at this time.
John,
Here.
I'm here. Kylie? Here. Pam? Here. Fred?
Here.
Kathy? Jeff?
Here.
Elizabeth? Here. Sarah? 7 present, 2 absent.
The quorum is present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion for the proofs of notice to be accepted as proper notice under the open meetings law and to proceed with the legal meeting?
So move, Fred. Second, Jeff.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved, Elizabeth.
Second, Kylie.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 1, community spotlight.
Good evening, everybody. So you know that the Community Spotlight Award has been kind of our way of recognizing community members that kind of go above and beyond for a group of kids in our school district, or kind of have this positive impact and bring something new. And this month, we would like to give an award and recognize Mr. Bob Neuheisel for the Community Spotlight Award. And I've also got a teacher that has Bob come to his classroom often. So I'm going to introduce Michelle Weiss, who's one of our kindergarten teachers, and then she's going to introduce Bob.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michelle Weiss. I'm the kindergarten teacher at the ELC. And this is Bob, and we call him Mr. Bob in my classroom. And this is Ember, one of his service puppies. We've had the relationship for, I think, 4 years, I think now. He takes his puppies to St. Luke's, where my daughter goes to school. And one time I'm like, hey, Mr. Bob, any chance you want to come across the street? And ever since then, he's been coming to the classroom, and the kids absolutely love him and the puppies. And I just did a really small slideshow to just show you kind of what happens in my classroom. And because a picture is worth 1,000 words, I can't begin to explain how much we appreciate him. So as you can see here, I have just a few pictures of Mr. Bob here with the puppies. And so we can only touch the puppies when the vest is off. That's one of the things that we learn right away. And so you can see here, the puppies are not wearing their vest. This little guy here was afraid of dogs when we first started our interactions. And by the end of the year, he was writing about the dogs. He loved the dogs so much, and he would always ask if the dogs were coming to school. So, let's see if I can get this TV. Thank you.
I got you.
Because every TV is different.
Yep.
He educates us about the service dogs. So you can see here, this is Daisy, and he brings Daisy into the classroom at the beginning of the school year and shares with us how to walk around service dogs, how to handle ourselves around service dogs. We learn the rules about when the service dogs are wearing their harnesses and wearing their vests. And then the kids get to pretend to walk the service dog, which I thought was really awesome. So he started doing that in the last couple of years, and the kids think that's really, really cool. We read books together, so sometimes the kids get to choose a book to read with Mr. Bob, or sometimes I have little decodable readers where they're sounding out words. And so here you can see these guys are working on a decodable reader with Mr. Bob, and Mr. Bob is so patient with them and helps them sound out the words. He doesn't just give them the words, he makes them work for it. And here, this little guy is in the picture again. Again, he loves the dogs. He can touch Daisy. We can't touch, was this Una or Un? The black.
That was Una, yes.
Una. There's Una. So he's reading a regular book to Una and Mr. Bob. And then here we just got the new puppy here is in this picture, and you can see they just absolutely just love being around Mr. Bob and the puppies. You can just see the smiles on their faces. When Mr. Bob is there, he came today, it's boom, the kids are all there by him. And he plays games with them, all kinds of really fun things. And there we go. There's our latest little puppy, Ember. How can you say no to that face? But we just appreciate everything. Bob brings us treats. Today we had Valentine's treats and some cereal. He brings in games. He bought a special game. I can't remember the name of it.
Shut the box.
Shut the box.
It's a dice game, it's a number game.
Yeah.
So
And-
it helps the kids that way.
Yep, and so he's working on numbers with them as far as partners of 10, which is so awesome. So I can't say enough good things about him. He is an asset to my classroom, but he's also an asset to the community of Plain. He was in the EMT. We went to the fire station this year, and there's Mr. Bob as one of the volunteers to show us around in the fire station. So he's everywhere and does such a great job. And I'm really glad we have this partnership and hope we can continue. Even though I'm coming to Spring Green next year, I hope we can continue this partnership as he has to travel a little bit farther. So, do you have any questions?
Mr. Bob, will you come up to the mic and teach us a little bit about Occupause and just kind of that program? Maybe Michelle can help you with Ember there.
Yes. Good on?
Pull it up. There you go, sir. That's it.
Okay, now Occupause is an all volunteer organization. We cannot get paid. The only person that gets paid is the harness trainer. After 2 years, our part is socializing the puppies and give them good manners and learn how to get up amongst the people. Then there's a harness, they have to pass a harness test. And if the harness trainer figures a dog's gonna make it, they'll go out of state someplace. Sometimes the things happen to the dog. Easiest way I can put it to a blind person, the dog has to be a perfect dog. Health, temperament, etc. So if that don't happen, I've had some that way have an enlarged heart, but they don't make it. Eye issues, possibility of going blind. We've had allergies. So, but anyway, these puppies cannot get euthanized. They are used somewhere in the system somehow. VA's picking some of our dogs up there, but they have to go to Florida. Just that's the way their system is. Otherwise, other organizations can pick them up for therapy dogs. We've got some being drug dogs in airports. So it's, and then this little guy here is, like I say, it's Daisy. And everybody asks me, sometimes some people don't understand harness, but that's what a harness looks like. And the dog always has to be on the left side. That's why I always have the puppy on my left side. So and me and the wife get the 8-week-old puppies. We've been doing that for over 12 years. We've been involved in the organization for 13 years plus. But we already had a large one when we first started, because I used to take them to work. When they were like 6 months old, 7 months old, I'd take them to work. And they would sit underneath my desk. If I had to go out to in Kramer's yard to do something, they stay right there. And I come back in, there they are. Some of the guys asked me, do we give them drugs? I said, no, they're not. One thing is, they Occupause, and they're proud of this. I give you some, everybody got the yellow sheets, but Occupause is a credit by both International Guide Dogs Federation and Assistant Dog Internationals. These two groups, they watch you. Make sure you're treating the puppies in humane, that you don't use like choke collars, these prongs that some people I've seen wear them, or these electric harnesses, electric shockers. We cannot use them. We have to do it all by treats. The only thing we do is we have, and that's normal, is we put what you call a gentle leader on them after they get so big. And a gentle leader is like a halter on a horse. The simplest way I can put it down. It's not humane. It's humane to the puppy. Yeah, because sometimes, hey, they are dogs, and you have to be careful. you got amongst people. And if you don't pay 100% to the puppy, attention to the puppy, they know that. And trust me, they know that. And they can, also they can dive off to, if somebody comes on by, walks by. So, but anyway, that gentle leader helps us keep them under control. That's the only other thing we do. It's a good organization. I mean, it's all volunteer. We do fundraisers. We get no help out of the government. It's through donations. And I do a fundraiser every Blaine. The 6th and 7th of June is going to be our fundraiser this year. I always do it down the first weekend in June. Yeah, last year we had a good turnout. So we sold like 420 broths last year, and plus hot dogs and some other things. But, yeah, that's in a nutshell what it is. Like I say, there's more things in the back. We're always looking for volunteers to help us out. That we are. And look for donations too, guys. I know you guys think we're donations, but I mean, it's good. But anyway, yeah, anybody knows how to help us out, give me a call. I'd be glad to. Or if you need some more information, I'd be glad to do that. Or any organizations that have an organization like Lions Club, etc. I belong to Lions, and they support me. They support the organization. So, yeah.
Mr. Bob, we really appreciate what you've done for kindergarten and just really appreciate the effort that you go through to make sure that the kids have a special time. So thank you so much.
And they are safe. I mean, puppies, I have the pup, I see I sit on the floor with them, and my hand's always on the leash.
Sure.
And I give the dog a little bit of a leash so he's not being pulled. So he thinks he's there by himself. I keep my eyes on the children. And they enjoy it, guys. I mean, we've been going to St. Luke's, we go to Tower Rock. Yeah, I know you guys, River Valley.
I see you walk all over Plain.
Yeah.
All the time, I see you everywhere.
So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. Any other questions? Be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Can you travel with the dog, Bob? If you take a vacation, what do you do?
Yes, I can. Early in the years, we went from here to Missouri, Texas, to Arizona, and back. And on the way back, we met somebody from, he was at a motel, we met somebody from Turner Sack, believe it or not. But yeah, and they do have babysitters from too. So if you need to, so there's no cost on that. And they buy the food for us, but that through fundraisers. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. Paul's gonna take a picture of Carla and Claire and Michelle and Bob.
I'm gonna do the doggy picture.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not gonna touch it, but I really want to.
Good job.
Thank you. Have you been?
Okay. Come on, baby.
Okay.
Wanna go?
You're in front, Bob.
Yeah, yeah.
It's after seven. Time.
Thank you, everybody. Michelle, thank you for taking time. Thanks, Bob.
She's like, I know.
Oh, we appreciate you.
Different dogs. I know. Right.
All the fun.
You ready?
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, that's awesome. Okay, item number 2 is public comments, and there were none tonight. So we'll move to item 3, the student council report.
Good
Isaac's here
evening.
to help us out. Hi, Isaac. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Speak right into that mic.
Okay. Filling in for Caleb today. But, good evening, everyone. My name is Isaac Zebar. I'm the student council treasurer. And tonight I'm here to give our monthly student council report. So on behalf of the entire student council, we want to thank you for your continued support and for providing an opportunity for a student voice at school board meetings. This report includes a student council update as well as responses from teachers across the district who shared information. During today's River Valley High School registration day, our student council members sold cotton candy. We have yet to finalize the sales numbers, but we feel the event went well. A special thanks to Grady Graham for managing the fundraiser with the seniors out of the building. Student council's next event is the annual talent show. This will likely take place next month. From the River Valley Elementary School, Ms. Howden says, we are excited to announce a new family-based learning program. Family School Partnership designed to support the social and emotional development of our students. The program intends to cover a range of topics in 3 sessions: family structure, responsibilities and screen time, connecting and redirecting, and co-regulation. We have invited all families in 4K through 4th grade to participate in the Family School Partnership. These evenings include a shared meal, social emotional learning and activities for both students and parents, and easy-to-use resources. While the content and activities are geared towards students in grades 4K through 4th grade, we invite everyone in the family to join. Ms. Hagman and Ms. Howden present the parenting information to the adults, and Mr. Manny and Ms. Jennings Johnson to take the kids for some fun activities. Also from the elementary school, for Ms. Bindle. First graders have been learning about the patterns of the sun and moon. We have been reading and writing books about the sun and the moon. On January 31st, we visited the Madison Metropolitan School District Planetarium for a show about the moon. And from the high school, Mr. Hollenberger shares, River Valley Mock Trial competed in the Wisconsin Mock Trial Regional Tournament in La Crosse on Saturday, February 1st. The tournament was held in the La Crosse County Courthouse and consisted of 4 trials over the course of the day. Isaac Divert, Lily Bauer, and Dave Van Halderen each had 3 perfect performance scores. Quinn Hollenberger, Haley Fromfeld, and Dave Van Halderen all had opposition coach recognition. The Blackhawks went undefeated, earning the school's 12th regional championship, and secured a #1 seed to the state tournament in March. This is the end of the student council report. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Isaac.
Appreciate it.
Okay, item number 4, April 1st, 2025 referendum information sessions in the communities. Just buzz through them real quick. Tuesday, March 4th at 5 p.m. in Arena at Grandma Mary's Cafe. Monday, March 10th, Plain at 6:30 at the Early Learning Center Gymnasium. Tuesday, March 11th at 5:30 in Lone Rock at the Lutheran Church Community Hall. And Tuesday, March 18th at 5:30 in Spring Green, the middle school library.
So prior to that, the mailer will go out, so people will know about this, and these dates will also be there. And if you guys want to come to one of these, you're very welcome to be there. It'll be Brian and I and anybody else that kind of wants to be there to answer questions and to be a part of the community discussion.
Are you receiving any questions yet? I mean, people reaching out, or has it been fairly quiet?
It's been pretty quiet. The only question I've got is after I was on the radio last week, and I'm talking about things. One of the questions that people brought forward was, so if the referendum fails, Plain gets to stay open, the ELC doesn't move, was the question. And I said, no, the ELC is moving at the end of this year, full stop. We also have a referendum happening in April. They're not related to each other, and I tried to make sure that that was really clear. But I think those are things that will have to be really clear as we're out in the community and talking to people. And we've made sure that that's really clear in the mailers that are going out as well.
Thank you. Item 5, update from the WASB convention.
So many of us went and had a great conference, just really nice numbers, had a really good time. Obviously, many of you were there. Things that I noticed that I would say, a lot of changes for Title IX. So there were several presentations on Title IX. But then I tried to go to something for every building. I went to something on 4K for Carla, and we talked about that. I went to some standards-based grading things for James, went to some stuff about Title IX in sports for Darby and Jamie, just some different kind of workshops that were there. But now I'll pick on people that were there.
Mhm.
Sarah Carstensen, what do you remember?
Being very ill. I left early, but I agree. A lot of Title IX stuff, a lot of stuff on referendums. I went to a number of different referendum talks, getting ready for referendum, getting the referendum to the community, what to do after referendum. So I focused a lot on that this year because we have a lot coming up in the next 2 years. So
Excellent. Mr. Yelsley, anything stick out?
I spent some time with school finance, went to a seminar that was a little enlightening on how to deal with all the different funds that Brian has to juggle around and what they can and cannot be used for. Also some presentations on cybersecurity in some schools that went through a ransom attack basically and had to rebuild. But there are resources through both the state Department of Justice and the FBI that were mobilized within a day and helped them out a great deal. So I think that's something we need to look at some more too.
Sure. Ms. Gauger?
Oh boy. I went to sessions on community engagement, staff, celebrate, encourage, and reward your staff, school safety, referendum AI. There's just a lot of information available. But it was very informative.
And Sarah Young was there, so was Kathy. So we had a nice coalition of people. People like to get together. Brian was there as well.
Yeah,
So anything, Brian, that,
My comment is that David Daniel from APT actually did a presentation.
yes.
It was awesome. I went to referendum and school finance ones as well, but his was about storytelling in the classroom and what his role as a storyteller is and what he can do when he comes into a classroom to, I don't know, piggyback or almost like springboard the teacher into different kind of discussions than they're used to having. So hopefully he comes back and does it again. I thought it was applicable to like anything almost in life. So he did a phenomenal job. So kudos to him.
Yeah, I actually was eavesdropping in the hallway on some people that were kind of thinking that they were just going to take some notes and they forgot where they were so engaged. They want to see him again and again. So yeah, he did a great job.
I guess I always walk away from the state convention also being really proud of what River Valley has going, being really proud of the board that we have and the work that you guys do, being really proud of our administrative team. I feel really validated when I go to I'm always learning, but I feel really good about the work that we're doing. And I don't think we're really far off from, being where we need to be. So it's always really a good week to be there and just really happy of the participation that you guys take forward. So thank you.
All right. Next item, end of semester review of Achievement Gap Reduction Program.
Otherwise known as AGR, and Carla Peterson is kind of our district kind of correspondent with DPI on AGR. So Carla, you can go through it real quickly and just tell us the progress that the kids have made.
All right. We are taking a look at standards that especially for kindergarten. Looks a little different for kindergarten than others, but we're really focused on the standards that they need to master at the end of kindergarten. And one of those is being able to identify all the letters, uppercase and lowercase, of course, with our early literacy initiative and Act 20, that is also a piece of what we're testing. We did start using the Ames Web test in January with our kindergarten through third graders as we were required by state law. But we also had to assess them in the fall. In the fall, we did not time them when we checked their letters. So we also did it kind of both ways in the winter to just compare to. So we're making net growth right now. We've got about 76% of our kiddos that know their uppercase letters. And
Sorry. Trying to get our next presenter and he's having trouble, so.
And 67% knew all of their lowercase letters. So that's what we're working to improve in kindergarten to get to that 95% of them knowing all of those. And our math standard that we're focusing on is being able to count from 1 to 100.
Hello there.
Hey, Derek, we'll be right with you.
Yeah, we'll be right with you. Oh, you can't hear us. Keep going, sorry, Carla. Stealing Carla's thunder.
Yeah.
Not that AGR is like super engaging.
excited. I know. Hey, if it brings us money, Brian.
It does, yes, it does.
And student progress.
It does, absolutely. It is it is student progress we are tracking anyways.
Yes.
But by tracking it and doing these reports, we have access to some extra funding, which makes sure that we can keep class sizes low and can continue with the
Hi, everyone.
tutoring.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Oh, goodness.
I'm not sure why.
Derek, we got you. We're almost to you. We'll unmute when we get to you.
Gotcha, thank you.
Thank you.
So first, second, and third grade, we use iReady, and we're looking at their growth. First grade, in reading, we really look at their phonological awareness. That is a piece that we're working hard in first grade, big piece for our early literacy. Second grade is looking at phonics, so it's more of the phonics rules that go along with things. And then third grade starts to look at comprehension. So we're accessing the iReady data to look at those and making growth in all of those places. Mathematics, we really look at numbers and operations. Kids need to understand the patterns and the sequences of numbers before we can do any fluency with mathematic facts and things like that. So they need to understand what a number represents. And so that's what we're really looking at in those grades. So any questions about what's there? It's just halfway through the year, so it's an update this time, and then in June, I'll give you the final update of it.
Seem okay, everybody? Thank you, Carla. Appreciate that.
All right. Information item 7, results of the school perceptions, staff and parent surveys.
We're gonna let Carla interrupt like 3 times.
That just made it more exciting.
Sounds good. So as part of our district strategic plan, we do need to get information from our parents. We have an annual survey idea that we really want to continue to work on. And rather than the district sending a survey from our Google site or for our ideas, we've decided to go with the company School Perceptions because Brian had experience with his company as he was on his sabbatical. So, Brian, can you explain anything else, the success that you've had in other spots and how we move forward?
I think the one thing that School Perceptions allow us to do will give us, and Derek will explain it much better, but we now have baseline data. And we're not just using some random Google forms every year that we have to internally look at. This is what they do. It's they're the experts, and not only will we be able to kind of year after year compare internally, but they're able to, because they do so many of these, compare us to like-sized school districts. So from there, Derek, welcome. And if you want to, whatever you want to do to introduce yourself, and then dive into the results, the floor is yours.
Sure will, thank you. I am familiarizing myself with how to share my screen using Google Meets. My name is Dr. Derek Gottlieb. I am the Senior Research Director at School Perceptions. We have done, as you know, surveys of both your parents and your staff, and I'm here to share these results with you, assuming that everything goes great here.
We have
What would you, I guess,
we have handouts, Derek. So the information that you provided, we have it on our board website, and
perfect.
It's in the board packet.
it's in the board packet too. So people have access to it. No need to share.
Okay, excellent. In that case, I would just like to go through it with you. Which one would you like to talk about first, parents or staff?
Parents.
Parents, let's do it. Okay, so you have the entire overall report. We start by, as you know, talking about some of the background of our company. We talk about who took this survey, what we found, wrap up with questions. You've already seen this material. I'm not sharing my screen, so I'm not going to go through. I'm going to go through it, but quickly, if that's okay, and spend most of the time with questions. So our company's been around for over 20 years. We've done a ton of surveys on staff, student, parents and communities. We've worked with over 1,000 school districts at this point. For the parent survey in particular, 225 people responded, which is a 31% participation rate. People have kids all across the district, all across grade levels, obviously. Representative in terms of demographics and in terms of parents of kids with in special programs, et cetera. So we break down our findings in two ways. We have indices, I guess, and also individual item analysis. Our indices are made up of some of those individual items to see how you're doing in terms of parents feeling informed, included, how they feel about educational excellence. With each one of these, we've got, as you can see, River Valley score and a comparison score. Word about comparisons real quickly, because this is a technical point that can sometimes get lost. We aren't selecting comparison districts individually, nor do we sort of invite districts to, put names forward. Rather, we are comparing River Valley to other similar districts as determined by the National Center for Education Statistics criteria. That is in terms of district size, demographics, makeup, all of that kind of stuff. And we're comparing River Valley's averages to averages in those similar districts over the last 2 years. That is, any parent survey taken in the last 2 years in a district that matches or pairs well with River Valley is eligible for to be a comparison. That was almost 1,000 districts or almost 1,000 surveys, and our software just randomly selects about 200 of those and averages all of that. Taking such a large number of such a large number ensures that no matter which 200 surveys it is using to calculate a comparison average, that comparison average doesn't really change. So in terms of parents feeling informed, you can see that River Valley scores a 3.93 out of a 5-point Likert scale. The comparison score is 3.96. Included 3.8 for River Valley, 3.88 for the comparison score. Educational excellence, 3.62 to 3.77. Atmosphere, 3.91 to 3.98. Experience, 3.96 to 3.99. The overall story, obviously, on the indices is that River Valley is right around the average of comparison scores and slightly below. Individual item analysis. This is all of these questions are based on this scale. It's a 5-point scale, but there is no neutral in the way that we do it. If people say don't know or doesn't apply, we just give that a score. We just don't factor that into the score. The whole idea is to sort of make people choose that they either agree or disagree, and so it's 5, 4, 2, 1 is how these answers are scored. So it's still possible to end up with a 3.0 overall, but not by everyone picking the middle value. If you if you give people a neutral option, they tend to take it a lot, and that doesn't give you good data. That's why we do that. So, leadership and communication. In these slides, you can see that we've included the agreed percentages, the combined sort of agree or strongly agree, then also, again, district score, comparison score. 77% of people agree that district administration is doing what it takes to make our district successful. River Valley score is 3.63, the comparison score is 3.77. The school board is doing what it takes to make our district successful. 3/4 of parents feel that it is. District score is 3.56, comparison score 3.66. The district is headed in the right direction. 2/3 of parents feel that it is. River Valley score is 3.31, comparison score is 3.61. I can continue to do exactly this, and I came here prepared to do it, but if you have already digested all this information and this is just, well, boring, please let me know and we can cut to the chase as well.
Derek, on the sheet
This
that
is-
we
yeah.
have, it shows strengths in school staff treat my
Ah.
children. It's showing strengths and then areas for improvement on, the
You were
parent
looking at the
survey.
executive summary.
Correct, yep.
Of
Yeah.
the report that I am
Yeah.
showing you. Do you
Got it.
have this big PowerPoint that I'm going through and not showing you?
Correct.
Like
We
that.
only have the executive summary in front of us.
Oh, okay, well then why don't I talk about that? So those numbers that I just said also crop up there.
Okay.
The strengths and areas for improvement, those are just the top three and the bottom three in terms of your own scores. There's a couple of things that really jump out to me here. I mean, strengths are, school staff treat my child with dignity and respect. I feel welcome in my child's school. I have at least one school staff member I feel comfortable contacting when I have an idea or concern. Agree percentage is all above 90%. River Valley scores are all right around the average. That is, those are important areas to be strong in. Areas for improvement, there is a healthy culture at our school. The school provides opportunities for parental involvement. I am satisfied with our school's efforts to address bullying. Those are all below 80%, and the bullying question in particular is 2/3 of parents agree. But likewise, as with the strengths, you see that River Valley is right around what other districts are experiencing. And this is an important thing to recognize. A lot of districts will see things, I mean, your staff survey says this as well. A lot of districts, almost every district is experiencing difficulties in student discipline, with bullying, with feeling like children are generally safe in following the rules at school. So even in a case where I am satisfied with our school's efforts to address bullying, it is an area for improvement, and it is. The interpretation of that needs to factor in the context that it's an area of improvement for just about everybody who takes our surveys. So that's just something to know. A much more, in terms of overall satisfaction, so we have this net recommender question. People who are giving you a 7, 8, 9, or 10 in terms of overall satisfaction are, what we call like your super cheerleaders. They're the ones that are going to be proactively saying positive things about the district. And the fact that there are so many of those is very encouraging, or ought to be very encouraging. I mentioned just a moment ago that in our item analysis, in our normal sort of agree, disagree scale, we do not provide a neutral option. But in our net recommender, as you can tell, we do. There's like, people can select a 5, and what happens when you include that is, that turns out a lot of people are clicking that button, which is pulling your average score down. That in the 5% red bar at the very bottom. So at the very bottom of this executive summary sheet, you've got an overall satisfaction score, and then each of your buildings also has its own satisfaction score, out of which this the overall satisfaction score is calculated. You can see the Early Learning Center, people are very happy, and the other buildings differ in various ways. So that's the executive summary of the parent survey. The numbers that I was going through earlier are the very fine grained version of the report, item by item.
So the fine
Pause.
grain
What
stuff,
questions can I help you with?
I'll just say that the fine grain stuff I'll bring to the CNI meeting so that we can go
Yeah.
through much more of it in much more detail if we need to at that meeting. Other questions though, you guys? Would you like them to focus on the staff survey a little bit?
Yeah.
Can you go through the executive summary of the staff now, Derek?
Sure can. So let me Yes, let me go through it and let me just make a couple of comments about the two surveys together. So staff survey, 122 respondents took it, it's 69% response rate. That is typical. Staff are captive in survey taking in a way that parents generally aren't. We typically see much higher response rates. So this data is very valid and reliable. This index is broken down into academics, engagement, support, student experience, and staff experience. In each of these categories, you see that River Valley is higher than it is on the parent survey. 3.77 in academics, 3.84 in engagement, 3.80 in support, 3.81 in student experience, 3.89 in staff experience. Each one of those, with the exception of support, which is right around average, are above what our comparison average is. The areas of strength, I have healthy working relationships with my coworkers. Our staff does a good job of educating our students. I feel safe at work. Agreed percentage is, top 5%, 94% and above. River Valley scores are above average almost everywhere, with the, again, exception of I feel safe at work. And the big thing to note there is, like, when the agreed percentage is 94% and you're below average, you have to know that, like, almost everyone everywhere is saying, I feel pretty safe at work. And so that's how you can get such broad agreement on that question and also somehow be below the comparison average. It's a very condensed answer. And as I was just saying, areas for improvement. Our staff handles student discipline in a consistent manner. The district's pay practices are fair. Our schools' student discipline practices and policies are effective. Each one of these has an agreed percentage of, like, in the low 60s. But again, if you look at the comparison score, those turn out to be above average, given the entire range of what we are seeing across all of our surveys. So that is not to minimize the importance of these areas or the need to improve. But it is to say that this is an instance of a much larger trend that we're seeing across all districts, frankly, and with respect to this data, similar districts in particular. The overall satisfaction here, 7.31 against a comparison score of 7.08. Your staff, the 8s, 9s, and 10s here are 50% exactly. That's tremendous in terms, you've got staff who are actively telling people that they like to work for the district. In fact, 50% of them, that's an enormous thing. And scores are consistently high across your building, with the mild exception of the high school. Very importantly here, you have many fewer respondents in, like, the 3, 2, 1 range than in parents. So from my data nerd perspective, just before we get into more fine-grained questions, it's striking to me that it's not like this in every district. Staff feel more positive about what's happening in the district than parents do. Very often it's the other way around, where parents who are not as close to the buildings feel they're like, my kid is being taken care of and being well served. They seem generally happy. Classes seem to be going well, and staff are more overall disgruntled, feeling unheard, feeling not included in stuff. So this is a little bit of I just wanted to note that difference from overall patterns, and I wanted to note that in these two stakeholder groups, there's a difference in the way that people feel about how the district is doing overall. That's the only comment that I wanted to make there. Happy to take any questions.
Board, anything pop up?
I think we have to have a longer discussion on kind of the bigger report and strategies to to address some of this stuff. I mean, this
Absolutely.
is not going to be done in one
No.
full swoop. It's going to take years of work.
I think Derek, this is Brian, when Lauren and I talked, and Lauren will take it to curriculum instruction, and I think also admin team, like between now and August, it's looking at that data. And then potentially like looking at some goals as we move forward and start to move into 25, 26 too. So, yeah, and focus on and just have a direct focus on some of these things to hopefully show improvement then next year and continue to build on the positive areas. So.
And it will be able to break down, like you guys can see it at the end of the report, the different buildings and their River Valley score. We'll be able to look at each question based on each building as well. So where we're getting an average for the district, I'll be able to see those granularly by the buildings, and that'll give us focus for those people and those buildings as well. So I think that'll be a good way for us to use the data in a really healthy way.
Is this a typical response rate from parents? And then also, how do we contact parents?
Derek, do you have? Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear.
Yes, it is a pretty typical response rate from parent. Response rates tend to be between 25 and like the upper 30s, somewhere. What was the second part of your question?
How did we contact parents? Was it email?
Yeah, so they sent us a link with kind of an overview email on why we were having them do it and what it was about. So we sent it out via Skylar, I think once or twice, for sure. Did we do any other way? Maybe on social media? But I don't think we did the parents. Yeah, it might have been just Skylar, so.
Yeah, it tends to be parents get a heads up email that there's a survey coming.
Yeah.
An email goes out, including the link. The link, everybody gets an individual code, so nobody can take the survey more than once, just to protect the validity of the data. The survey is open for 2 weeks. During that time, and like reminder emails will be sent out twice, and then the survey closes.
So how often does this type of survey have to then be done? Is that an annual thing, or is this that you have a recommendation? Is it like you wait 2 years and work on it? How does this work?
Typically, schools do this particular survey annually. If schools are if school districts see that there's something emergent that needs to be addressed quickly, we offer a shorter version of each of these surveys, a snapshot survey that can be done. This was done in the winter, that could be done at like the end of the spring. And, timeline wise now, between the end of the survey and February 13th, it does not make sense to do that this year, but it's typically annually is how we would do these.
And we were a little bit later, we talked to Derek and his colleagues about typically that school year window is that mid-October-ish through mid-November. So if we do continue it annually, we'd probably look at that window, wait for homecoming school fair to end, give it a week or so, and then send that stuff out. So, yep.
Also, this is just sort of neither here nor there. As you were digging into the data and thinking about next steps forward, summers are a very quiet time for us generally, and so we spend a lot of time in our data doing various things. And among the things that we have done in our resource center, we've identified districts who have done a particularly good job at moving exactly those things. The district's pay practices are fair. Between 1 year and another, their scores jump up in terms of staff satisfaction or parent satisfaction. Schools' discipline practices and policies are effective. And we just sort of reached out to those district leaders and we're like, what did you do? Can you tell us a little bit about this? So we have done some of that legwork, if that would help provide a starting point as you're thinking about ways forward.
I know one of the comments that we got from our staff was they didn't feel like it truly was anonymous. So does this help?
That's our goal. So when we were doing an internal survey, Derek, prior, we would hear that they were afraid it wasn't anonymous. And this was one of our goals, was to make sure that it was not, us taking in the data, that it was a separate company doing that
So
survey.
you don't see anything but his report?
Correct.
Reports?
No, yeah.
Correct.
Perfect.
That's right.
I just
I have
want to
no
clarify
idea
that
who the
because we got that
respondents
question a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I'm sure we'll be reaching out, Derek, with lots of questions. Thanks for your help in getting us the
Excellent.
initial report.
always here to help. Thanks for including me in the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, let's move on to update on school district operations from administration.
I'm sure Brian will jump in later. Claire and Carla are here. Darby's at girls basketball and hosting that because Jamie's at middle school wrestling. So those gentlemen are busy at activities tonight. Claire, you want to jump in with a quick update of stuff that's going on?
Think about what we've been doing this last month, and it just all seems wrapped up, and you know what we're working on and sharing out with staff tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
So a big day for staff tomorrow is they come together with us. Brian and the team has gotten together, and basically we have the maps of where classrooms are going to be, and that was sent to them electronically today. So they know that so that they can have questions for us tomorrow. Also tomorrow, they're going to ask us questions about the big move because also Mr. Cry in his beautiful Excel spreadsheets has created
Hey.
when they move out, when they get cleaned, when they move in, and it has every classroom in the move scheduled in that, and they found out about that tonight too. So with those things, we're gonna present that to them in person tomorrow to make sure that we're there to have conversation. Also, administration and I have been meeting with every single person that's affected by any of the reductions or kind of classification of their job. So like music department has met. Interventionists have met because they're all getting reshuffled. Just really trying to have those face-to-face meetings as it affects a lot of their, spaces of where they're working. And so we're trying to have those really quick, but yet good conversations with them so they don't feel surprised by anything that's coming out in email as well. So just trying to be busy with all that kind of stuff. I think that.
you articulated that.
I'm just trying, yeah. So we've got a lot of stuff the last month that we've had to do based on a lot of the things that we decided last month at the board meeting. And I think we're right on target. The timeline said by February 14th, a projection of where their classrooms were going to be and a projection of when and how the move would happen. And we have that ready and we'll go forward with that and we'll answer questions tomorrow. So, does that seem okay, Carla? Anything else beyond your AGR report, ma'am?
We sent out 120 personal reading plans last week.
That's the obligation of the new state law.
Yes. So they have to be signed and returned, so we mailed them home so that they would hopefully all get home. And next week I'll start making phone calls to get all of those back.
You bet.
But teachers are working hard on meeting those personal reading plans. So for each of those students, they're getting a little extra something somewhere in their day, focusing on their literacy goals.
And is that just elementary or is that elementary and DLC?
K1, 2, 3.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of work.
And Tracy Frosch has been key in a lot of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, a huge shout out, district reading specialist Tracy Frosch, Carla, James, and the staff that have gone through so much early literacy training and updates based on the legislation that came from DPI. So a lot of work that we had to jump into really quickly to make some big significant changes. And I would also say, I would feel like compared to some of our neighbors, we're ahead of the schedule. So really proud of the work they've done. Excellent. So, okay, we're ready, sir.
Any feedback on the moving, shelving classrooms? Like,
Oh.
even before a lot of nervousness or pretty calm or?
Oh, boy. I would say, John, that there's a lot of feedback. I think there's a lot of nervousness. More than anything, I think everybody believes they understand why we have to. And so I think it's just getting used to that, processing that, understanding that, where we're going. The decision of putting the middle schoolers where we put them in the building, I think once that sits for a couple of weeks, people go, I get it. I understand why that had to happen. I understand why these people have to go here. Haven't had a lot of just can't believe you would do it that way kind of comments, but there've been a lot of people asking a lot of questions. So I don't know how else I can explain
Well,
that.
I don't think it's a surprise to most of them. Like Carla and James and Darby and Jamie have had conversations for the last month. So, the floor plans that were sent out have been works in progress for,
Absolutely.
for a month now. So, I checked my email and I didn't have any, anything back to me. So, yeah, I think it's been an ongoing thing. It kind of finally like, hey, this is our draft at this point. So, it's not, our day tomorrow is not just that, what Lauren said. There's a full day that the principals that we've been working on for professional development. We are taking a half hour in the morning to just go through the classroom configurations and then also have a starting discussion about the referendum so that if they have questions, they can ask at that time so that they understand what's going on, what they're about, they can answer those questions. So, yeah.
It's been really good work, but it's been a lot. And, and we're just trying to keep the communication open and transparent as we go through it. So,
Any other questions? All right, board reminders, announcements, and training opportunities.
so Kathy would really give you those reminders if she was here. I don't have any for you at this time.
I have none. Number 10.
Paul is reminding me of the special board meeting on the 25th, and many of you have given us the indicator of that you can be there for that special board meeting. Yep. 7 o'clock.
Legislative update.
The only thing I would say is the state has been really giving us a lot of information on changes to Title IX. So we've been working really hard on making sure that policies and things coming from our legal team at Renning Louis Lacey gives us the indications of how we need to get back to making sure everything's compliant again. So we're working on that as well as keeping up with all the updates. So it's been good. Yep.
Action items, consent agenda, checks, invoices, receipts, January 2025, open session meeting minutes, January 9th, 2025, regular meeting in January 20th, 2025, special meeting. And a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move, Fred.
Second,
Jeff.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, public hearing and consideration of resolution regarding the petition to alter school district boundaries initiated by owner under Wisconsin statutes 117.12 to wit. Petition to detach property located on E7142A Mill Road, Spring Green, Wisconsin, from the River Valley School District and attach it to the Sauk Prairie School District.
Correct. This coincides, if you guys will see, this coincides with the next action item as well, that there's a public hearing and consideration to take on property as well that was in the Sauk Prairie School District to attach to the River Valley School District. So earlier in this year, I received a phone call from Mr. Jeff Wright, who is the superintendent up at Sauk Prairie. And he shared with me that one of the families that he has worked with for multiple years kind of became aware that through record keeping, they found out they were part of the River Valley School District, and they had been under the understanding that they had been part of the Sauk Prairie School District.
Originally, our farm has been in the Sauk Prairie School District for 100 years, and when we moved here, it was in that in 1991. The Bed Road people asked if we could take a 40-acre property that was across the street from our house. Our farm is half in River Valley and half in Sauk, but we are the end farm for Sauk Prairie. And then it was across the street. We was like, I was not part of that at that time, but my mother-in-law made the exchange in 1991. And then 2011, our township had a company come in and do a whole assessment from the east to the west of property lines. And when that came in, that property line that was across the street on the south side of the house now went to right behind our house, right between our barn and silos, and all of a sudden our house evidently was moved to River Valley District unbeknownst to us. And found out, this year that like, hey, you're not really in the Sauk Prairie School District. And we're like, really? And so in doing that, that history of looking at that, we recontacted the people that had made the switch. Neither one of us will have any children in the district. We both have 4-bedroom homes. Yours is much nicer than our farm home. And very willing to make the switch back to them being in River Valley and us being in Sauk to get the established back where we have always been for 100 years. That's our request, is to relook at that.
You just met Mrs. Bean. And thank you for being here. I appreciate that. She did a much better job than I would have based on the notes that I have in front of me. And again, Mr. Wright, Superintendent Wright, and I both were surprised by this, to be honest with you. It wasn't something that we understood had been changed. It was prior to us by many, many years. And so in this agreement, what you see in Action 2 and Action 3 is really readjusting to what many of the families had in their understanding of what once was and what they wished would be again. So the other thing I would share with you is that in the assessment of tax dollars coming into the districts, the tax dollars on the parcel that we would be receiving is higher than the tax dollars that would be going to Sauk Prairie. So if you're looking at it strictly from a monetary value, we would be gaining. So,
I have a question.
Yes,
just out of curiosity. Does that mean that the parcel behind you would still be in River Valley?
No, the parcel across the street
Would still be, okay.
would be put back in Sauk Prairie, and then their home parcel would be over on Badger Road, would be put back in River Valley.
Right,
The dividing line for the River Valley property that we have is all farmland to the west of our building site.
Right.
That just moved the line, like you
yeah, I'm
said.
looking at it. I was just saying like the one that is moving.
Yeah, right up the road there.
And then that one is still. Just curious. I was
No,
just
it's
looking
okay.
at
Yeah,
the
we lived
map.
in our shed.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I'm
Behind
just
our
looking
house.
at the map. Swears.
No, are you meaning the 40 to the east?
Yeah.
There's a 40 to the east that will still be in River
Oh,
Valley.
yeah, all the rest land. We're just the
Yeah,
40
yeah.
acre parcel
She's gonna have
that we had
120
switched in
acres of surrounding.
1991.
Yeah, it's surrounded.
It's just going to be.
That's fine. I was just curious if I
Right,
was
so,
seeing that
so we
correctly.
will be creating another island and, okay.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was seeing that correctly.
Mhm.
you are.
Okay.
So, follow-up question for you, Lauren.
Mhm.
Did SOC act on this?
They did.
Okay, and
6 of them.
Pardon?
They only acted on the one.
They acted on, which one, Paula? Help me out.
On detaching theirs,
On ours,
the S12104.
Not on yours?
on ours, the way I was told.
They did one of them, correct, Diane? They detached the one that would have been in Sauk, but coming to River Valley, is that correct? Did I say that correctly?
Confused, I don't know.
That's the way I read the email when I got it, was that they voted on detaching theirs so that we can vote to bring it. Once we vote to detach ours, they will follow up to bring that to their district.
Thank you, that's right.
Yes.
That's correct. I believe
So
that.
we need to take action on the Bean property first, then they will
Correct.
follow up.
No, we're gonna take action on both.
No, I
Yeah.
get that. Where
Yes.
SOC now takes their
Yes.
action is once they'll pick it up for the beans and then accept it.
They can't accept it without us detaching it.
Correct.
We're gonna accept their detachment and then we're going to vote for our
Yeah,
detachment.
yeah.
I had to read that a couple of times when I got it too.
so
I appreciate
we should be doing 3 before 2 then, right?
Should we be doing 3, Sarah, do you think, then the public hearing and the boundaries to attach?
We
No.
should get the one they gave up first and then detach ours so they can take it.
Back.
Right?
Okay.
Does it? Does that?
Well, item 3 is the parcel that they voted to let go of.
Yeah.
So we should vote to accept that first.
Okay,
Then the parcel that we have to let go of should be second, so they can then vote next month
Correct.
to accept it.
to accept it.
Okay. I don't know if it really matters, but.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really matter.
No, no,
It does
it
not.
doesn't.
As long as the action is taken.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right. So let's just do them in order then, so we don't have to
Yeah.
do any goofy stuff.
Thank you.
Amended agenda.
That'll help us.
Okay. So we need a motion then to detach property E7142A Mill Road from River Valley School District,
To the Sauk Prairie,
and I guess,
correct.
Correct.
I'll second that.
okay, then we need that's a resolution, so we need a roll call.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry, John.
I just didn't get the first, I got it now, it's John.
John.
I vote
John,
yes.
the first.
Sorry.
Kylie,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Fred,
Aye.
Jeff,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
7 yes, 2 absent.
So, action item 3 then is, let's see. We would need a motion then to
Accept the detachment.
accept the detached
Detachment.
property at S12104 Badger Road
And bring it,
from Sauk Prairie and attach it to the River Valley School District.
Correct.
yes.
I will make that motion.
Second, Elizabeth?
Need a roll call.
Kylie,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Fred,
Aye.
Jeff,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and I vote yes. 7 yes, 2 absent.
Good work. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
So we'll continue this paperwork. There's some stuff at DPI we'll have to do, and I believe it becomes effective July 1st.
Yeah, I got notice that they'll be at the next January 26th board meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bean. Good to see you.
Yeah, so
we
the-
need to take a look at that.
The orders then come out in July and then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Item 4, consideration and action on curriculum and instruction committee recommendations.
There's 2 islands on the map that. It's like, we should almost do it.
Yeah.
Why can we get the gift?
Oh, okay.
This case.
Did you already hand it over to me then?
She did, yeah. He did.
He moved on without you.
Okay, so some information from the curriculum and instruction meeting that we had last month. We had a technology audit that we did, and you want to share anything on that?
Well, it not only did kind of a perception of our staff, so again, we wanted to survey staff to feel them out, to make sure that we understand, are we meeting their needs with technology? Are they getting the right software, hardware, response time for technology and all those things? We did that, as well as we were looking at technology and curriculum. Like, do we have the right kind of programming to support the curriculum that we need? And we looked at both of those. One of the things that we found as an action item is that we need a process. Let's say Kylie's teaching 3rd grade and she wants to get this new app for this really great curriculum. We have to have a process to go through that so that whatever we do and download is safe and that the kids have safe logins and it's all part of the process. So that's something that we learned from that. We did find that the response time from our tech team to solve problems is being seen as doing well, right? That was good. There are still some spots around some buildings where we're not so sure about why Wi-Fi drops and keeps up, but we're working on those kind of things, and that's kind of a typical thing. But I don't know. We just looked at a bunch of different things, and we're looking at the action items that come from that report to make sure that we're moving ahead.
Perfect. The next thing, we looked at open enrollment survey results, kind of looked at how it's, the survey results played out over the last couple of years and primary reasons for families choosing to open enroll students out. And most of that has to do with other districts being closer to their work or their daycare or something like that. And it's been pretty consistent over the years. So we looked at that. We also talked about looking at the things that we can change. A lot of it is out of our control why families are choosing to open and roll out, but just looking at what we can change, looking at that. The next thing is we looked at, we talked with Mrs. Moore and we looked at our 4K program for next year, which will be an action item coming up next. We looked at, there's been some discussion at the ELC about making our 4K program a 5-day-a-week program starting in the next school year. We looked at districts around us and what they're doing. Many districts are already offering 5-day-a-week 4K instruction. So, anybody have any questions about that?
Guess I'd also just give a heads up that we met with Riverdale this week. We're meeting with Cuba City later on this week. Carla talked with Baraboo, who has a 5-day program. So we are trying to learn from our neighbors as we do this, as well as in our own community, St. Luke's and St. John's have a 5-day program. And so we're worried about enrollment and losing enrollment if we don't continue to seek this out as a possible solution. Also understanding though that we have to be careful and do it the right way.
Yeah.
So it'd be what I'd say.
We talked a lot about just what that's going to look like for the team, acknowledging that, you know, that's a grade that has a lot of transitions, multiple transitions throughout the day, just planning for that. And there was a lot of good discussion about about what that looks like, so what it could look like. So we have a motion for the board, or we're looking for a motion to, looking to take action. I guess that's your job, John.
Well, we're gonna do that under number 5.
Yeah.
So we'll let you,
Oh, and then sorry, last update is we got an update on top 10 tools training, Act 20 from Carla, moving forward with that. Is there anything you want to add to that? No?
We'll be done by the end of the year.
Better be, right?
Onward we go.
That's our update.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
So action item number 5 is consideration and action on the 4K schedule for the 25-26 school year. So that's gonna be basically going from the 4-day to the 5-day.
Correct.
Will there be any new staff that has to come in or anything that changes with the 5-day?
As they transition to this campus, no, there's not additional staff that would be coming. It will just be that the prep time for those teachers or the outreach that we do on Wednesdays will have to go to after school or different times in the school year.
The other thing we also talked about, there may be a jump in enrollment
Could be.
because
Mhm.
some families have a difficult time finding one day a
Yeah.
week for daycare because of the 4K. And so they just choose not to enroll or find something else. So this might increase our enrollment numbers as well.
I don't think it'll hurt it at all.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So we just hope for it, that's for sure.
Have we looked at the impact that's gonna have on our before and after school programs?
I have talked to Jen about that. I think she seems okay with it, right? And we're also looking at changes for before and after school care, especially on Wednesdays, because Wednesdays are early release as well. So that schedule will impact before and after school care too.
And she currently has 4Kers in her
Correct.
before school and after school program, just not on Wednesdays. And Wednesday is a day that is much lower enrollment than other days, so.
I'm just wondering if we have the potential to have more enrollment, if we're going to have the space to accommodate
Good care, yeah.
the extra care that we need.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably less than 5 kids that we lose each year to
Okay,
St.
good.
John, St. Luke's.
Great.
To, so I'm not anticipating that all of a sudden
Awesome.
we're gonna jump a whole class, but a handful,
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
possible.
And we currently have 45 kids enrolled in 4K.
Okay,
So, and we still have 3 staff members there.
perfect,
So it'll be okay.
perfect.
Yeah, easy.
We could,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do we need to just be aware too that because we're really losing a full day of prep for the staff then?
They will be getting specials, just like an elementary teacher gets specials, meaning those kids will go to music and art and PE, so those teachers will get their prep time for when those kids are gone. So Carla will work that right into their schedules. It'll be fine.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the 4K schedule change for 25-26 school year.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second, Kylie.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, consideration and action on building and grounds committee recommendations.
So at our last meeting, Kramer Brothers attended and we had a discussion about the remodel of the wood shop, at the high school. They provided a initial budget for the remodel is about $730,000 with a $50,000 contingency. That does not include equipment replacement. And Brian, if I'm off on anything, please step in and correct me.
You bet.
There was also some discussion about projects over the summer. We did table the wood shop remodel for until our January meeting and have some better recommendation at our March meeting then. We did have a discussion about new equipment for the weight room, and as we did last month, the River Valley Booster Club provided a $50,000 cost or money towards that, $50,000 towards that purchase. And we would need to put in, the district would need to fund about 39,000 or 44% of that. So we do have a motion to recommend to the board approving 39,000 towards the purchase of new weight room equipment at the high school. And let's see, we also then had a so maybe we take action on that.
I think just a few things that came up at that meeting were, these sort of purchases, whether it's classroom equipment, and this is technically a classroom, comes out of our annual facility budget. So, we are able to make this happen and, basically through the generosity of our booster club with that $50,000 donation. So, yeah, very big.
The other thing I'd note too is that that building will be housing 7th and 8th graders as well. So it'll be used by any kid from grade 7 through 12.
So because it's coming out of the facilities budget, it doesn't need to go to the budget committee because it's part of the existing budget expenditures that have already been approved?
Correct,
basically?
yep, you got it.
Super. Okay, why don't we do that one now then, Fred, before you finish, so.
Okay.
Take a motion to approve the
39,000 towards the purchase of new weight room equipment at the high school. I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last thing we discussed was the school forest and getting rid of some of the stumps and how to dig those out. We were going to then hire Brent Winkers to do the excavation of part of the school forest, the area where we were going to try to transition that back into a prairie so that we can get those obstacles out of the way, if you will. So that was moved forward as well. So that's it.
Yeah, and we had, Jeff did some work for us on getting a couple of different scenarios to clean that area up. So one was for us to rent some equipment and have a volunteer take care of it, or to have Brent Winkers do it.
Right.
And it was pretty much a wash, and we just felt like it was easier to hire Brent and just have him do it, so. Yeah,
With the insurance and with everything, it just, it was.
So it was a motion to hire Brent Winkers for 2 days to excavate a portion of the school forest, just that front part.
Do we need to do that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, was that a recommendation to the board, or was that?
Yeah.
Does that fall under?
Yeah. Well, we bring all those motions / recommendations. I know the wording on the minutes is a little different, but we usually.
I
bring
wasn't
all
clear
those
at that
here,
time,
so
because I thought it was under a certain number that we didn't have to take on board, but
That's my guys, yeah.
Motion to hire Brent Winkers for 2 days of excavation for a portion of the school forest for $3,450.
Second, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that was everything in the building and grounds?
Could we make a correction? It was $3,200, not $3,400, but
With Brent?
okay.
Yeah. Gotcha, yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Item 7, consideration and action on policy committee recommendations. And with Kathy not being here.
Oh, it's all yours.
You're gonna, no, it's not mine.
So Ms. Kathy Jennings gave me a report to read out. Anybody that's part of this committee, which would be Mr. Yelsey, Ms. Carstensen, or anybody else that was there, please feel free to jump in. We had one policy that the committee is recommending for a second reading. It is 470.1. One's called co-curricular user fees. We're just changing that to user fees so that it matches extracurricular and co-curricular. Generalizes it a little bit, so it's just an updated title. No additional changes to this at this time, but would need a motion to approve the second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve 470.1 for second reading.
Second, Joe.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then we had discussion and possible recommendation to the board for the first reading, again, coming from Kathy, so Sarah and Fred jump right back in. We discussed one about the school closing procedures, making sure that whenever a school closing happens, that we're giving 2 hours notice prior to. So if the school, for example, I'm trying to make a call for a snow day at 5 a.m. If we're doing an early release and I'm gonna send them home at 1, go back 2 hours, I've gotta make sure that a parent is notified 2 hours prior. And in one instance this last year, it happened 2 hours, but by the time we added that up and we looked at the early release of the early learning center, it wasn't 2 hours. So I followed the policy, but it didn't give enough time. So we're trying to put this in to make sure that we're giving parents enough time, especially the parents at the early learning center, which next year won't be necessary, but still we wanted to make sure that we had it in policy to give them plenty of time and to communicate that need out. So that was 722 on school closing rule there. The next ones that we had, we're skipping for now, but then we went on to weapons in the school and weapons on school premises. That's 443.4 and 837. Both of these we bring to you for the first reading. We had some heavy discussion about the definition of the word weapon. And that in an old policy, we had the definition for the word weapon, and that had been removed. We looked at that again, and the committee decided they wanted that definition back in. So.
Especially considering what Mount Horeb and others districts,
Correct.
especially at Wasby, this was a point
Yeah.
of discussion as well.
Yeah, I think it's fair to read that our definition of a weapon isn't just a gun or a knife. It's any device, realistic toy, an operable weapon, or fake replica that is perceived and believed to be an actual weapon. So that really makes it very clear to a student, to a family, to anyone in our public exactly how we define it. And that will help us as we process that and have to do some hard lessons with kids sometimes. So, other first reading, those were really the last ones, I guess. That was weapons. The other ones were just for discussion. 751 was student transportation services. That again is talking about 4K, 5K busing and how we're gonna make sure that we find good spots around town for that busing. The rural bus routing guidelines were discussed as well, because as we bring the students up in Plain to this campus, we have to reroute every bus route. So there will be all brand new bus routes for the 25-26 school year, and there will be brand new bus spots or pickup spots in each of our 4 communities. So we had to do that. I've been working with the Sauk County Sheriff's Office to identify unusually hazardous zones in Spring Green, for example, so that kids have to be picked up near these pickup spots rather than be asked to walk to school. So I've been working with the police department on that. And then there were a couple in here on public sales and solicitations and advertising, sponsorship and commercial activities that we just reviewed as a team based on somebody in our community that wanted to give away some free things with the name of a business on it. So we just discussed those last 4 as a committee to help clarify for the administrative team. So the ones going for first reading would be
722.3,
443.4, 837, and 7. That's it. Those
Those
3.
three.
Yeah.
Okay, we get a motion to approve those 3 for first reading.
So move. Fred?
Second, Elizabeth.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's it.
Jennings is much better at that than me.
You did a great job, Lauren.
She needs to come back. On to you, budget.
All right. Item 8, consideration and action on budget ERC recommendations. So we had a meeting on Monday. Have a couple recommendations and a couple updates. First recommendation was to accept a change in the budget with a decrease of approximately $100,000 in Fund 27 special education revenue due to some certain formula, change in the reimbursement rate from the state.
And I think one thing John summarized it well, we're finding out now is that the state doesn't certify or tell you exactly what you're going to get until they get all the audit reports from the prior year. Because our special ed aid is based on prior year expenditures. Those are due to the state by December 15th. So once they go through those and they total up all the expenditures, then they say, okay, now here's what you're getting. So the state budget is what were my terms again, John? We were explaining them on Monday, some certain versus some sufficient. So it's just a certain amount and then they divide it up. It's not some sufficient where some sufficient would be, it's gonna be 33% no matter what the expenditures are. So that's why it's 29.9%. And we're seeing a pretty significant decrease from what was put the state budget. So just looking for a motion to make that change in our current budget.
And since we've already got our budget set and our referendum set, it's just gonna have to come out of fund balance unless we come in ahead of budget by the end of the year.
Yep.
So this is another reason why fund balances are so critical because of.
Otherwise,
Things that hit
we're
you
sitting
mid-school
here for hours trying to find that money somewhere.
Yeah.
We're just able to handle it.
So this is a motion to update.
Yeah,
Um,
To
Budget.
accept the change of the 24-25 budget.
Okay. I'll make that motion to accept the change to the 24-25 budget.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Couple discussion, information only items. We did talk about the 25-26 health insurance, dental and vision. So we're still waiting for final numbers. And also looking at the CISA 3 co-op. So hopefully next month we will have some firm numbers to bring to you. Another item for information only was a 25-26 budget update, which Brian and Baird had worked on an updated 3-year projection and actually lowered our mill rate by 25 cents each year.
Yep.
Brian,
Same,
if you wanna,
same thing. It's kind of like Baird talks to DPI and gets all this audited information then. And I was estimating that we were gonna get less state aid next year and every year following. And based on Baird doing an analysis of every school district in the state, we're gonna get less state aid, but not as bad as I was thinking. So we don't get any additional revenue, but what it does is it increases the state aid amount that I was anticipating, which then lowers the amount we need from property taxpayers. So it lowered our estimated / projected mill rates by about a quarter each year, which is significant. So I was happy to get that information, and those are the numbers we'll be using for information related to the referendum the next couple of months.
see, we had a discussion and a recommendation on the FEMA brick grant. Our motion to recommend the approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of a sub-grant agreement. I don't know if you want to try to explain this again.
So you guys know that we're looking for a tornado emergency shelter through a grant process that could be constructed on our campus. And so we've been working with Jordan Buss to help us get through this federal grant. And in this federal grant, based on some complications at the federal level and how monies have been held back and pushed forward, you can do a sub-grant. And within that sub-grant, it would pay for the design as well as the drafting of the actual tornado shelter separately from the actual construction. And so in the counting of the grant, in the points that you receive when you apply for grants, doing it this way allows us to proceed, allows us to continue in our grant process without getting the full construction process appointed if we follow through with this sub-grant. And it gives us more points in the end as you get points for the actual construction. Am I getting any better at this as we go through this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So with that, this is to identify the school district's sub-recipient authorized representatives for this FEMA grant. And it allows us to have names put down that would then be able to receive those funds.
And this also helps us because Sauk County
Correct.
is delayed in getting their all hazards mitigation plan approved. It's been now a year. And so that would hold up our whole brick application as well. So we would lose even more points.
Yeah.
So this is just another way to get more points and give Sauk County a little bit more time to do their plan. There are a few communities that are doing the same thing.
So our committee's recommendation was to approve the sub-agreement.
Sounds great. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the execution of a sub-grant agreement.
Second.
Being a resolution, we got to do a roll call.
And Pam,
Yes.
Fred,
Aye.
Kathy's absent. Jeff,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Sarah is absent. John,
Yes.
I vote yes. Kylie,
Yes.
7 yes, 2 absent.
And that's all we had from the budget committee. Item 9, consideration and action on resignations or retirements.
None at this time.
Yes.
Oh, we do have one
Yeah.
retirement, yes. Ms. Lori Hoffman, thank you. Lori Hoffman's worked for the district for 34 years, I believe, Carla, and has worked in our business education department, been a part of our CTE team for years and years and years. Has been at the middle school and at the high school and at the elementary school. So she's one of those rare people that has really moved around our district, is well loved by kids, by parents because they were once her students, because she's been here for so many years. Just a pinnacle person in our staff and has been a part of this community for many years. So we would love for Lori to have a great retirement, and I'm sure we'll see her as we continue our work. But at this time, she's chosen to retire and to complete her full FTE with the River Valley School District. Does that sound right, Carla? So we just need a motion to accept her retirement, not resignation, but retirement.
Motion to approve Hoffman retirement.
Second, Kylie?
Further discussion? So what does that do to our, we're only gonna have a 25% reduction, so
that's okay still.
they'll just
Yep.
absorb it.
She'll have to
Do
do the
full-time.
7, yeah, she'll have to separate from us for that state mandated time period.
She's good with that.
Yep.
She is,
Perfect.
as requested.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent.
Item 10, consideration and action on hirings.
None at this time, sir.
Item 11, consideration and action on resolution accepting gifts.
We have one, and I want to make sure I get it out there. Just again, the Project Lunchbox that we do in November is just a popular thing, and people continue to give us money for Project Lunchbox, which helps out kids that have food insecurities in our district, that get behind on their lunch counts or can't afford the food, breakfast, or lunch that they have here at the River Valley School District. So many local churches, many local people get together and they kind of fundraise for that, and monies kind of trickle in. And this is a $774 donation from the Spring Green Community Church to the Project Lunchbox fundraiser. So we just like to recognize that and accept that donation.
You have a motion to accept the donation.
I will make a motion to accept the donation from the Spring Green Community Church.
Second, Fred.
Want to do a roll call?
And we'll start with Fred,
Aye.
Kathy, Jeff,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Sarah Young, John,
Yes.
I vote yes. Kylie,
Yes.
and Pam,
Yes.
7 yes.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good job.
With the mic on.
Oh, and he's returning his back.